Okay, I wanted to start recording, but Cocoa Bean has decided she wants attention. What am I going to do with you, huh, Cocoa Bean? Right, pages 6 and 7. Don't chew the tools, you dribbler. Don't chew my book. Oh, yeah. Pages 6 and 7. We will try and begin. Don't chew my book. Yes. You know, no choo-choos. Don't knock the camera. Yeah. Come on. Say bye-bye. Say bye-bye, Cocoa Bean. Say bye-bye. Oh, you dribbled on me. There we go. Okay. I've now got cat dribble over everything. Over my papers. And over my desk. Okay. Let's try again. So, page 7 and 8. Now I'm wondering whether to do this straight to page or no. I'm going to do it onto base card. So the base card is obviously 8 1/4 by 10 1/2. And okay, first things first, let's get my pile of papers ready. Take my book out of the way. Right, first of all we're going to start off with, for each page, 3 pieces of A4 paper. So that's 8 1/4 by 11 5/8, I think it is. I've already cut my decorative edge in just because it's easier. Obviously you don't have to have a decorative edge in, but this is going to be a pocket, so it's easier to put the edges in before you seal it all up. So that one is that side. See, paper's all done. Right, I have to figure out first of all which side is which, because I want 3 for each side. And that one's that side, I do believe. That side. That side. So, we start off with three sheets of A4. I've said that, haven't I? Right, for page 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so page 6 and 7, for page 6, because you're going to score these slightly differently. So, for page 6, what you want to do is score on the 11 5/8 of an inch side, score at 5 inches, and then 10 1/16. You want that tiny extra bit if you can. If not, when you fold, because you want to fold the larger flap inside of the smaller flap. So when you fold it, take your bone folder and ease the paper out so that sits in there comfortably without this bowing up. So you score at 5 and 10, or 10 1/16, depending on what you're comfortable with, and then turn it round and score at, what should I score that at? Is that 3/4 of an inch? Score at 3/4 of an inch. So with the smallest flap towards you, score at 3/4 of an inch. And if you want to put in your decorative flap, it goes on the middle section. So you want to do that for all 3 pieces. Ta-da. And get rid of all the stencil tape. Not that it's going to show on the inside of the pocket, but best to get rid of it. Okay, now for each of these pockets, what you want to do is, right, so I folded together, I'm going to fold it back out, and I'm just going to fold this down, and burnish it. So what we're going to have, you now want to remove these 2 bits here, not the flap on the middle section, just the flaps on the end sections. And you want to do that to all 3. Okay, so all I've done is release the flaps there and there. I'm just going to mite it in these edges here. So that one there, that one there. So what I'm going to end up with is a side pocket which has a flap on this side, and I'm going to keep this flap on the outside as like an extra little pocket, a tuck spot or a pocket. So if you want to punch a decorative edge into that, you could do. Actually, that would be quite nice, so I might do that. And I shall be using the same punches I've used previously. So I will go and do that to my pages and I'll be back. Okay, so my edges have been cut. I just want to make sure that this is not bowing out. Okay, so on page 6, I've got to start remembering what page I'm on. Okay, not that one. So, take your first, what will be a pocket, and what I'm going to do is find the end of my tape. Right, along this edge, so it's the larger end flap, right at the very end, I'm going to run a line of very thin tape. Blue would be fine. to all three. And I'm running this on the outside of the flap. I'll show you what I mean. This one. Right. Excuse me. So you want the smaller flap on the outside, like this. And you want to run the tape on the outside of this flap. So you don't want it on the inside of the pocket, you want it on the outside. You have to excuse the noise outside. It's a Saturday night, the neighbours have had a party, so they're all a bit rowdy. And the language, I may have to stop recording. Right, I'll be back when it settles down outside. Ready to continue. Right, let's see where I was. Okay, so got my tape on, got my glue. I'm going to release the tape backing on the large flap. Add a little bit of glue. And fold that up. Oh, you know what I forgot? Inside here I also have some double-sided tape for the bottom of the pocket. It's not essential, but it might be useful. So, here's the pocket. I put tape on my flap so that when my flap goes down, it will stick. Okay, so let's get this first one down. Now, when you do your decorative papers, if they're directional, bear that in mind when you cut them. So this goes down right on the edge, so that when you open it, your decorative edge, which is going to be a tuck spot or a pocket maybe, is at the bottom here. Okay, now for the second one, let's do the same. Hold up the pocket. Now you want this to be staggered nicely. So this has to come down 2.5 inches from the top, I think. Or is it 2 3/4 inches? 2 3/4 inches, I think. This is the 5-inch pocket on a 10.5-inch page. There's 5.5 inches, so each side. So it has to come down 2 3/4 inches. So I'm going to lay my ruler here I'm going to mark 2 3/4 inches here, and 2 3/4 inches here, and that should be the width of my page, which it is. Release the tape backing, and on it goes. Now I want to make sure I can still close this one. That's that one done. And of course the last one then goes to the bottom of the page. And this one will once again come in very, very slightly, and it is extremely slightly. So they all close very comfortably. So there's like maybe 32 of an inch. It's just like a millimetre here and a millimetre or 2 millimetres on this side, just so that it won't show very much. It's just so that you can get that comfortably closed. There we go. Okay, so that's the beginning of page 6. And what I'd like to do now is do the same for page 7. So, put page 6 aside. And the reason I want to do page 7 and start that off is because the pockets are slightly different. So you do exactly the same with the paper being 11 5/8 by 8 1/4 inches, and along the 11 5/8 edge you score at 5, and then at 10 1/16 of an inch. Now, where with the previous ones you turned it with the flap trying to think now. Basically, you have to put the 3/4 of an inch score line on the other side, because this one is going, it's not flapping from it's not flapping from this side of the page, it's flapping a mirror image this way. So you want that score line on the opposite side of this one. Okay? So, and other than that, it's exactly the same. So, for each one, fold and burnish your score lines. And then release the flaps at the top and the bottom, but not the middle. On the long edge. So once again, I'm just taking off the two little bits here and then mitring in the edges here. And here. There we go. Okay, so now let's make these pockets. Once again, making sure that you remember, if you want to, because of the way this goes together, you don't necessarily need to glue down that edge, because this is on the inside. When you flap it open, the chances of anything falling out it's not likely. So if you don't want to put that extra little bit on the inside of the pocket, you don't have to. And obviously if you don't want this bit here, you just make a shorter flap here and glue it inside, if you'd rather have a plain back to these pockets. But I have to, because I have different papers on the pages, I've had to number them so that I know which one's the middle. I'm having the same paper for the top and bottom pockets and a different paper for the middle pocket. And because they're all cut independently, they're all slightly different. So I want to make sure that I choose the right one for the middle. And the middle one is number 5. So this is the middle one. Okay, that's bowed slightly. So what I'm going to do is just ease that flat. That's better. And for the third side pocket on page 7. And the flap. If you remember to burnish after you've stuck down and get all those air pockets out and get the glue flat, it doesn't happen a lot, but it does happen a little bit with the bulk throughout the album. And if you think about it, if you just take off just a tiny bit each time, by the time you finish the album you've reduced it by a fair bit. Okay, so page 7, they're going on this side. We're going to do exactly the same as we did before. You can get your tape backing off. So the first one, do page 7 is going to the top on the right hand side. I just thought, do I want this opening the same way, or do I want it opposite? I think I have it the same way, with the one at the top there. If you want it opening the bottom one first, so the bottom one, if you want it this way, yeah, you do it. You start at the bottom and then lay the next flap and then the next flap. Okay. But I'm going to have it the same as the previous page. That's better. Okay. So we're going to measure down again, the same as we did on the previous page. 2 3/4 inches. Tiny pencil mark. And the same again, 2 3/4 inches, tiny pencil mark. And I'm going to place this one here, open up, place the next one down. So when I've done that, I'll be back. Yep, changed my mind. I decided that I did want them slightly different. So on page 6, the top flap opens first. On page 7, the bottom flap opens first. The reason I changed my mind is I am having a magnetic band to hold these down, and obviously where they're going to be exactly opposite each other, I don't want the magnets to be in the middle, because when you close up the pages they'll meet, and that's not necessarily a good thing. So I'm having also the bands are going to be one's going to be slightly shorter than the other. And I want the magnets to be on the heavier flap, on the bottom flap, so that the most outwardly facing flap. So on page 6 I shall be having them this way round, and on page 7 I'll be having them this way round. I think I have the magnets that way. Yeah. So the magnets aren't going to meet, and they're going to be slightly off from each other, and they'll hold down the pages better that way, with the magnets being closer to the top pockets. So that's why I did it. Okay, but for now, let's put these to one side, because I'm going to put those on last, because I don't know exactly where I want them, so my paper's falling out. Okay, so page 6. What I've done is, if I can get them, there we go, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so for this one, this is a full A4 sheet in width, so it's 8 1/4 inches by 10 1/2 inches. I cut it down to 10 1/2, and I have scored it 7 1/2 inches. So 7 1/2 inches across, so this then makes that 3/4 of an inch. I've got a 3/4 of an inch flap on the side. Now there is a reason I've got this extra bit. What I did then was I took another A4 sheet, cut it down to 10.5, and I punched with the flat punch down both sides. I actually punched it before I cut it. So I punched both sides of the page. I then cut one side off at, it must be an inch. I did. From the tip of the decorative edge, I cut 1 inch off the side, so this came off the side here. Okay, and that's because this flap here I want to be the full width of the page, and obviously I haven't got, if I have a flap here, the full width. So if I place this here, I can then attach this onto the page and still have a decorative edge, and without too much trouble, which is why I did that. And it was easier to punch it out of one sheet because I knew I wouldn't be using the whole width of this sheet. So this one, I punched both edges in, and then I cut it off at 6 3/4 inches. So from the tip of the decorative edge, not where the decorative ends, but from the tip of the decorative edge to the score line is 6 inches, and then a 3/4 inch flap. So let's get this on. So your longer piece without the decorative edge, if you get your page, this is page 6, so the flaps are open, and I'm going to have this attached to the right hand side of the page. Now for some reason, oh no, that's okay. So tape. Now you may notice that even though I have a 3/4 inch flap here, I don't use 3/4 inch tape, and that's simply because I'm going to rely on the glue that I also add to hold the rest of the page down, but I want that extra strength closest to the score line. So I can put my tape on and just mitre those edges a little bit. And release the tape back in. Grab my glue. Attach this to the right hand edge of the page. Give that a nice varnish down. Okay, now the flap with the decorative edge I'm going to lay on top of the larger flap, so it'll be here. Once again, grab my tape. Up to the score line. Try not to go over the score line. If you do happen to go over the score line, don't burnish your tape down, and then when you release the tape back in, fold your flap back and then just fold that edge that's sticking over so that it's not going to show. There we go. Right, add my glue. Crikey, I didn't do that very well, did I? And this one's going to go, once again, on top of this larger flap. So, now then, if I remember rightly, I cut this flap slightly too short. So it's not a full 10.5 inches. But that's okay, because it's just such a tiny difference, it's not going to show, but you do really want it 10.5 inches. And burnish that one down. I am so going to invest in a Teflon bone folder. Okay. Now the problem I have now is I haven't thought about what else I'm doing to the page. I do know roughly what else I'm going to do, like to this flap, but I don't know what I'm going to do with this flap, and I don't know what I'm going to do here or here. But for now, I'm going to stick on my magnetic strip. Now this is made from scraps, and I do believe they are 1 3/4 inches. 1 3/4 inches wide. And what I've done is I've measured down on one. It's measured at 6 3/4 inches, and then no, 6.5 inches, and then 6 5/8 of an inch. So I've got myself a tiny 1/8 of an inch gusset there. And on the smaller one, I've measured down 5 inches and then 5 1/8 of an inch and scored, and got myself a little 1/8 of an inch gusset there. Now then, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put tape on the inside. Of these flaps. If I can see where my score line is, because obviously I don't want to cover my score line. And also on this one. So the shorter one's going at the top. So I know this is 8 1/4 inches, and this is 1 3/4. So that leaves me at 6 1/2 inches. So to find the middle, I have to measure over 3 1/4 inches each side. So 3 1/4 inches, and the same on this side, 3 1/4 inches. Now that should then be the same width as my 1 3/4 inch band. So same for the bottom, 3 1/4 inches and 3 1/4 inches. So now I know that these two are lined up exactly. Easy, huh? So I'm having the shorter one. This is the top of the page, so I'm having my shorter flap at the top of the page. So let's release that tape back in. Add a ton of glue. And then all I have to do is line it up and fold that over. Okay, so that should come down nice and straight. And your gusset there should be just enough on here to keep those pages together. Yay! Let's do the same for this bottom flap. Yep. What you could do is get a slightly wider band if you wanted to. Like I said, I'm just using leftovers. You could get a wider band and punch a decorative edge into it if you wanted to. So it should be about there. And it is. Look at that. Lovely. Yep, that's perfect. She says, moving it around. Still perfect. We're okay. Right. Okay. And of course then there will be a magnet on there. Now the other thing you could do, if you wanted to, is have the belly band here matching up with the edge here. So you'd have it slightly over, or you could make this page slightly shorter and match it up. You could also match up the decorative edges so that they lay perfectly on one top of one another, but I'm not going to be that clever today. Yep, that's brilliant. Then don't forget your magnets, because then this will be magnetised. It's this way up, you silly moo. Right, so this will have a magnet on it. And this flap opens, and you've got 1, 2, 3, and then you've got to put your decorative edge onto this one, which I'm having on the top rather than the bottom. And I've got to make sure that I've got enough room, bearing in mind that this pocket obviously is right near the edge, and this one is right near the edge. This one is slightly in. So you have to measure it from the bottom pocket, the pocket that's furthest in. So make sure that that's even. Yeah. So the next thing to do is to run a line. I think I'm just going to use glue on this because I don't want to. I'm going to put glue on this edge. Okay, I'm going to get myself a piece of paper here up against that very bottom, you know what I mean, the very bottom edge of the pocket. And then I'm going to just come in just slightly, top to bottom. There we go. That looks about right to me. And there we have it. Okay. That side, and then this side. Okay. One, two, three. 1, 2. So that's how it's going to be. Now then, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this blank and have just a clear page, and on this bottom bit here I think I'm going to have a pocket, a double pocket. Now I do have belly bands made up, so I could, the belly band on this one, leave that one blank. No, because I'm going to have a picture on here. I'm going to have the belly band on this side, picture on here, and I'm going to make a pocket to go here. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure up for a pocket for the inside. I'm going to get my flaps done on page 7, and then I'll be back to show you how I'm getting along. Okay, I've attached all my flaps to pages 6 and 7, and I've attached my magnets onto the bands here. Now what I need to do is find out how big I can have this pocket in the centre. Now I've measured across and I've lost just 1/16 of an inch by staggering these pockets in slightly. So I also want to take off another 1/16 of an inch. So I'm waiting for that to stop flashing. I want to take off another 1/16 of an inch so that the pocket fits in and still have everything be able to close. So basically, from the original 8 1/4 inches, I have to take off 1/8 of an inch for my pocket. So the pocket will be 8 1/8 of an inch wide. I hope I explained that okay. So I'm using an A4 piece of paper, which is obviously 8 1/4 inches high, and I'm going to make the pocket this way. Now if I was having it straight to page, I would just cut it at 8 1/8, but I don't want that. I want it to have flaps. So the easiest way to do this is to take out the scoreboard, score in at 3/4 of an inch, and then score at 8 7/8 of an inch, and then you'll cut the paper at 9 5/8. Do it 9 3/4 to make it easier, but you cut the paper at 9 5/8. So you cut the paper there. So once again, because I'm doing 2 pockets, one for each page, you take your A4 paper and you score it at 3/4 of an inch. Try doing it in a straight line. So 3/4 of an inch, and then 8 7/8 of an inch, and you'll cut it. There we go. And you'll cut it at 9 7/8, 9 5/8. Let's get this right. Cut it at 9 5/8 of an inch, or 9 3/4 if that's easier. But if you cut it at 9 5/8 of an inch, you'll have the 3/4 of an inch flap on each side. That is right. That is right. Yes, of course it is. So let's cut these down. At 9 5/8 of an inch. So then I've got my 3/4 of an inch flap each side, and an 8 1/8 of an inch pocket in the centre. So that's again 9 5/8. There we go. Now I want a decorative edge to the top of my pocket, to the opening of my pockets. So I'm going to do that and cut my decorative edge, and then attach my pocket to the page. Make sure I get this score line right. 1, 2. Okay, so I'm going to choose my paper and I'm going to cut my decorative edge, and because I like to cut my papers with the decorative edge at the same time. I shall probably only cut a small bit because I should probably have a band and then a different paper at the bottom. But for now, that will be page 6 and page 7 with their pockets. So I'll just do that and then I'll be back again. Pockets are cut, it's now time to put them in. Making sure you put the right ones in the right page. Obviously my page 6 has the top flap on the top, if you see what I mean. Top pocket flap is on the top. Okay, I have my tape on. Let's get that tape back and off. Glue on. Oh, mucky glue bottle.
I want to make sure that this will not interfere with either of my flaps. So hopefully that's too far over. Let's try that one again. And you want to get it about the right distance away from each of the... That's better. Okay. So I've got a tiny gap here, so that closes fine. These all still close well. This goes over and this goes up. Page 6. Page 7, it's exactly the same. Nearly glued my page down there. Okay. So once again, these pockets are 8 1/8 inch wide and 8 1/4 inches high, and they have a 3/4 of an inch flap on either side. Two, three. Get the glue on. And then once again, measuring the distance to make sure you don't, remembering that on this one, the flap that comes in more is at the top, so you don't want to go over. Now that's gone slightly crooked, but I was going to say it'd be fine, but it won't be fine. So let's try that again. I do believe that's better. Make sure that I can still close those. Yeah, that's good. Okay, so that's page 7. All complete, except for the decorations, obviously. So, I think that's going to have a page with quite a lot on it, because not only do you have the pockets, you have little flaps here, and you see the flap about the pocket. There will be a belly band on here as well, on one of the inside pockets. So there we go, page 6 and 7. I will decorate it and show you it finished, decorated. I was going to say maybe another video, but what I will do is I will do this tomorrow and load it up. So yeah, I'll be back when it's all decorated and hopefully looking very pretty, if not slightly dark and gothic-y. Finally, I have finished the page 6 and 7. Well, sort of. I haven't got the little motifs in yet. I've printed a lot out. All of these will have to be cut out and matted up and everything, but page 6 and 7, trying not to knock everything, like page 6, the belly band, the split belly band with the magnet, I just did in plain red. The reverse of this I did in plain red as well, and I just put it underneath the pattern paper here. There are still no mats. All the mats, photo mats and everything, I shall do when the whole album is complete and do them all together. So in the little pockets there. Then you have the big bit here. I've got a belly band here. I haven't got the stopper in yet. I don't know what I'm going to have for the stopper yet. Another plain page here, and then this is a pocket, and this is a large pocket. So that was page 6. Page 7 is basically the same. Only it opens in the opposite direction, so once again the belly band. Picture, nice and plain here. Flip pockets with the tuck spots in at the sides here. Belly band, no stopper. And plain on this side. This is the pocket, this is the pocket. So that's that. Virtually complete. I also finished pages 4 and 5. I put this to use, it has got magnets in, but I'm using this to mat it down as well. These are just plain matted bits here. Obviously, once again, nothing in there. And what I've done on page 4, each one has a little flip up booklet. You might be able to put something in it, I doubt it. But they're both different pictures but the same design each side. And obviously you have the pocket and the pocket on there. And on page 5 I've got the same here. The picture, I wanted it lengthened, so I just added a little bit of punch border to the bottom, and the insides of these haven't got anything on the insides here, so plenty of room once again for photographs and stuff. And there's the 2 pockets, and this is exactly the same, and the trim across here, which I may add to other pages as well. So there we go. So only, is that 2 more pages left to do? It is 2 more pages left to do, then all the photo mats. So but for now 6 and 7 is complete, all done, and yeah, not bad. Took me a while to get there, but I did it. So until next time, bye bye.